Your nation, your news, One American News Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Now it's time for our grassroots citizen panel. And joining me in the studio, as she did previously, is the chairman of Our Voice PAC and former candidate for U.S. Senate in the state of Nevada, Sharron Angle. Sharron, good to see you again.
Thanks, Rick.
Also in studio is Alan Bloom, criminal defense attorney, self-described, further to the left than Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, I should say. Good to see you, Alan.
Pleasure to be here, Rick.
And joining us from Washington, D.C., as he did earlier in the week with Superstar Parker when she guest hosted his show, is the co-chair of Project 21 and legal analyst Horace Cooper. Horace, welcome back.
Good evening. Thanks for having me on.
All right, first topic of the day, the Senate Judiciary Committee is seeking answers from the Obama White House, particularly the DOJ. There are towers which have been built which look like cell phone towers that were supposed to be used to eavesdrop on bad guys, on crooks and criminals, but they have the capability, it appears, to eavesdrop on all U.S. private citizens. And the Senate Judiciary Committee wants answers as to why they're not happy. Alan Bloom, no one, left, right, middle, up, down, can be happy about this story.
Unfortunately, some people are happy about it, but those are the people that I think are just really off base. If you think that this is the right thing to do, to give the government the opportunity to be looking at everybody's cell phone, you're giving carte blanche to the foxes to watch the hens. It's a very, very dangerous situation. Slippery slope doesn't go out to describe it. This technology, let's be clear about it, this technology simulates cell phones. It's not using the companies AT&T's or Uverse or something like that. They're using the government cell site to capture this information, and we're relying on these government police officers to do it in the right way with virtually no oversight. And their explanation of why there won't be any oversight is because if we announce how we do it, then if we tell everybody how we do it, then people will stop using it because they'll know about it.
Horace Cooper, you're there in Washington, D.C. This may be one of those topics that we on the panel all agree with. I don't know yet, but we'll find out. What's your take and what's the buzz you're hearing in D.C. on this topic?
Well, I guess I take a little bit more of a nuanced view on this. On the one hand, my big concern is that the FBI and the DEA have no business using this kind of technology without a warrant. The Supreme Court has long made it clear if you're surveilling people and you're getting their private information off of their phones, you're going to need a warrant. If that's not what this is for, and if this is for a national security function, then the FBI and the DEA shouldn't be the ones implementing it. A different part of the federal government ought to be handling that, and they ought to be working with the intelligence committees to make sure if that is really what they're doing. And part of the problem I have here is we don't have these answers as to what is going on. If this really is just a fishing exercise by the FBI and local law enforcement, I think it's patently unconstitutional, and that's not something that's going to survive.
Sharron Angle.
Yes.
Your take on all this.
Well, I have to agree with Horace and with Alan. You know, we need to know more, and I think Senator Grassley's absolutely right in asking the questions.
Alan Bloom.
Grassley couldn't be more right and conservative. Leahy couldn't be more left and liberal. And these are the two people, the two senators, coming from the exact opposite ends of the political spectrum, saying, wait a second, we have to know more. But I don't think it's just going to be a question of we can just say we need to know more. We have got to make sure that put into place is a mechanism to stop the abuses. We already know, I mean, there's going to be another Snowden about this type of thing too. We already know that the court that was watching the government before had never in 19 years issued a stop on to say no, you couldn't do it. It was not a court independent saying here's what we have to have a warrant. So that was a false image of security. That was everybody's information was being scooped up.
Go ahead, Horace.
Go ahead, Horace.
Now, Sir Rick, I'm going to take a different take on this. As again, if we're talking about from a national security perspective, the court and the Constitution are designed to protect us from evidence being unlawfully gathered and then used against us in a trial.
No, actually,
in a
that's not
national
so.
security setting, we're not gathering. That is true. We're not gathering. That's exactly what the court said in the first FISA challenge during the Carter administration, all the way up to the present, and with the law that Congress has passed when they've updated the FISA statute.
No,
so I want to make sure that what we don't have is a situation where the FBI is piggybacking on the NSA or the CIA or other intelligence services. If that's happening, that's not something that's supposed to occur.
Right. Well, I
that's
agree
why
with...
I want to know more information. But I am not bothered if we're tapping in to Osama bin Laden's best friends' phones, wherever they may be, all across the planet.
Of course you're not. But we have to worry about the free speech of all of us, not just the people that we like. We can't just allow the government to set aside that Constitution and say it's okay to do it. So if that's what ends up happening, if you say it's okay, since our target is after bad guys that we can all agree are bad guys, and since the target is there and their heart is right, then we don't need any judicial oversight.
Let me ask you
that's
this.
dangerous.
Before Horace responds.
That's not what I'm saying at all, though.
Before Horace responds, let me ask you, Ellen, do you agree with Horace that it's okay so long as the FBI is using has been issued a warrant?
Well, if there's a real judicial review to this, some independent group doing it, and I think that's what Horace is saying as well. If there's an independent review to it, then fine, that's okay. That wasn't the case as Snowden's demonstrated a lot. You had a court system set up, but it was a faux court. It was just a rubber stamp. It was a system set up where in all these years nobody had ever done anything to stop it.
Before we switch gears, Horace, you want to add any final comment to this issue?
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that think that Snowden has done us a service. I think it has set back our security efforts, and it is creating more serious security threats internationally as a result of what he's done. I do think that we should be able to separate a distinction between those who are using cell phone technology for the purpose of planning the next 9/11 versus those kinds of people that are just not paying their taxes or engaging in a drug plan or planning to rob the bank. That kind of criminality, the court has made clear, ought to come under the rubric of a warrant in order to be able to monitor that. When you're talking about international security issues, that's entirely different. We listened to Angela Merkel's phone calls. I have no problem with us being able to do that, and I don't think we should have had to get a warrant to explain why, when she had a conversation with Putin, we wanted to know what it was about.
Really? The president of Germany is okay to eavesdrop on her.
What do you think of that?
Where are we in this world?
Really, Sharron Angle, eavesdropping on our allies. Good idea, bad idea?
You know, I think we have to know what's going on in this world because we're never sure just exactly who our friends are and who our enemies are.
So you're okay with that? You're okay?
You know, in some ways I am absolutely okay with that, yes.
Yeah, that's called spying.
All right, and on that comment, we'll take a quick break. We'll continue.